We're better than looking out there over the ground and saying, all I see is places where I could have wind farms. And if you look just a little bit below, there's oil that is already mature. That stuff is already, that technology is already mature. And we have enough to blow everybody out of the pond. I don't know if you can tell it looking at the camera. My chair is compressing right now as I'm sitting here. It's going down, down, down. I'm getting shorter and shorter and shorter. Any moment now, if he holds true to form, I should be hearing from the boss. And if I don't, then I guess I'm going to have to call him. While the chair, sooner or later, this has got to hit the bottom. I think I'm at the bottom now. That's why when I start the show, if you're watching the video feed, it looks like I'm talking down to the mic because I know I'm going to end up here. You can go to triggerthevote.org today, and if you're not registered to vote, go there and register. They have all the information if you haven't hit the bottom yet. They have all the information if you need to register right there. I know this is audio, and I can't sit here and not say anything, but I feel like just being quiet while the chair continues its downward slide. It's still going. How far can this thing go? Okay. Maybe it's at the bottom now. Anyway. All right. The boss hasn't made it here yet. Let's look and see if we can find the boss's phone number real quick. Where's it? I have managed, however, to get away from these system notices. There it is. The chair still goes down. Let's see if we can get the boss on the line.
Hello.
Ladies and gentlemen, joining us from his palatial retreat in the bunker that is Virginia, where he and he alone is the most strident protector of your Second Amendment rights. We are joined by the Executive Director of Gunowners of America, Larry Pratt. Good evening, sir.
And Bill, good evening to you.
I couldn't remember how he left it. I couldn't remember if I was supposed to call you or you were supposed to call me, or it didn't matter. I'm looking at the clock. I didn't want to.
I was supposed to call you, and I did not remember, so I'm glad you did.
Now, you just went to the gun rights conference down in Florida, didn't you?
Yes, that was quite a nice event. There was my guesstimate, 500 people that were in attendance, and they certainly seemed to have a lot of energy, looking forward to whooping the incumbent regime in this coming election. They're very concerned. So I think they're highly, highly motivated.
You know, have you heard about that confab they're wanting to have in California, where they're going to talk about the media's role in gun control or in trying to prevent gun violence?
Well, bless their heart. I haven't heard about it, but anything the media is doing means it's a Democrat Party meeting. Yeah,
well, I mean, what they're doing is they're going to this is going to be about gun control, and the guy that's in charge of Cal Guns Foundation, or one of the directors, Josh Berger, had bought tickets to it, and they won't let him attend.
They are so open to debate and discussion. They're only interested in the facts. My nose just grew an inch.
Those of you listening at gunowners.org, you are listening to the executive director of the website that you're sitting at watching right now. One of the things that regarding this election, all right, now they do polls all the time where they say the United States, 60 some odd % of the people out there are saying the country is going in the wrong direction. And then they say it is neck and neck. Do they not understand that we can do the math and figure out actually how it really is? Do they not get that?
what they're doing to get those kinds of results is substantially overweighting the number of Democrats that they're guesstimating are going to vote in the general election. They're assuming that the Democrats are more highly motivated than are the Republicans. And that's it, right. I think you've just proved that it doesn't pass the laugh test. I have never seen our kind of folks. You pick an issue that's on the right of center, and people are literally afraid for their country. They view this, and I've been around a few years, and I've never been aware of an election where we thought it was the end of the country as we know it if it goes the wrong way. Not that Mitt Romney is the be-all and the end-all, because he certainly is not. But people look at another 4 years of Obama as kaput, fin, the end.
Well, I mean, he it's not just gun rights he threatens. He will drastically transform the American way of life.
That's exactly what people are concerned about. They've seen his utter disregard of the Constitution, his unwillingness to obey the law. The man is simply out of control, and a spineless Congress won't even cut off his funds, which would be a way of actually checkmating him. But they don't do that. John Boehner is afraid of being accused of shutting the government down. Well, I wish that might happen, but frankly, if there were a budget impasse, if there a fight over the debt limit increase again, which next comes up in, sometime, I think, in January, Boehner's afraid of being accused of shutting the government down when, frankly, the government is pretty much on financial autopilot. 57% of what it wastes in our name comes in every month from taxes of various kinds, and that would certainly be enough to pay for the basics, the military, social insecurity, Medicare, veterans, and the rest of it, might take the hindmost, but then most people in America wouldn't know if it happened that the federal government bureaucrats that were harassing them weren't there to harass them. They might feel a little better.
Wouldn't it be, considering what we've gone through with Harry Scary Reid in charge of the Senate, the fact that we haven't had a budget now and will not have had a budget for 4 years and been running deficits gigantic since then.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't it? Aren't politics today, with the new consciousness and with the new media and the way people are really getting their information, not so much from the mainstream outlets, but if Boehner were to stand up and say, as he does, however he does, he's got a good voice, John does, but he's always crying all the time, messing it up. If he were to stand up and say, if we don't get a budget, I'm going to let the government shut itself down, and then just hold to his guns. Doesn't he have enough support in the House to make that happen? And wouldn't that be a really good idea?
Well, messaging is important, and what he ought to say is, I don't care if the government does slow down to 60% of its normal operation. It's still way above what it ought to be operating at. So the American people are not going to be in any danger of anything really important that the federal government does, like protecting the country. So have a nice day. If you guys can't agree to how we responsibly get out of the mess that we continually dig ourselves deeper into, then this is the kind of therapy we need.
Talking about guns, I've seen where right now the Brady campaign is lobbying Jim Lehrer from PBS to ask some gun control questions in the debate he's going to be moderating. And at the same time, I've also seen, and I don't know which organization got him, but they got one of the Batman massacre victims to come, and they filmed like a commercial with him showing his wounds from his neck. Maybe we should do we need to get Nikki Gozer and Suzanne Rupp or Krupp or whatever that young lady's name was? Well, she's my age now, but Do we need to go get them and let them talk about their story as a counter? I mean, there's plenty of people that have been killed because they didn't have a gun, or watch somebody they love get killed because they didn't have a gun. Or
what you're saying is the Batman victim has overlooked the fact that he was in an area of the ultimate gun control.
Right.
No guns allowed.
Right.
And he still wants more gun control. I don't know how much more he can get.
I don't know. There's been a study that has come out, and the shooters like Holmes, Loeffner, whatever that Yahoo's name that did the Sikh temple shooting. The ones that actually go after the Anglo-Saxons, those guys are the anomalies, aren't they?
Typically, yes. They're the ones that are the mass murderers, for sure, and they do tend to pick places where they think it's going to be relatively safe for them. So I guess they're kind of rightly concerned that if they go into a black neighborhood and start shooting it up there, whatever the gun laws in that neighborhood might be, they're not going to last that long.
Yeah, the outlaws are going to come out in droves and just gun him down, right?
Yeah, I mean, the blacks aren't as stupid as we are.
Right. So I guess my question would be with the victims that are out there that the study indicates that most of the victims, not the shooters, but most of the victims are young black American males and young Hispanic males. Aren't they sort of – I know they do it by design. I know the Brady campaign does that by design. But they're overlooking the larger problem, are they?
Yeah. The fact is that the laws of the country, particularly in urban areas, make it very difficult, sometimes impossible, to be able to protect yourself. Guns have been kind of legalized in the District of Columbia, but don't even think about getting a concealed carry permit. So where you're most at risk, outside your home, you're still disarmed legally, and that's the same in Chicago. You're not going to get a permit unless you've been one of the more generous donors to the political mucky mucks that make those decisions. That's all there is to it. And so the rest of us are just left vulnerable. And that's an acceptable risk as far as these guys are concerned. But then, of course, the ones that really matter have their own protection provided for by the taxpayer.
Right. Now, in these places like D.C., and I guess to a certain degree Chicago, where you can own a gun but not carry it, most of the home break-ins occur when those people aren't home and they're at work, and their gun is at home where it's being broken into. And that's really – there's really no such thing as – well, unless I've been characterizing Fast and Furious as the government's stimulus to the gun trafficking program that doesn't really exist.
That's right. They were trying to evidently one of their motives was they got caught in a lie. They got caught saying that the Mexican violent crime and murders that are committed in Mexico are the result of an iron river of guns flowing into Mexico.
An iron river.
Some 90% of the gun crimes, as they call them, guns committing crime, were sourced back to the United States. Well, yes and no. It was kind of the way liars can figure. What they did was to take the Mexicans had two data sets. One was a group of serial numbers from guns found at crime scenes where the gun could likely be traced back to a U.S. source, a private source, a gun store, at some point a gun owner. Whether or not they could trace it back to him, at least they could trace it back to a gun store where it had been sold into the private market. What they were overlooking was the enormously larger universe of M16s and other firearms of that sort, fully automatic battle rifles, shall we be specific, that were coming from Mexican armories, from deserting police and military, from armories in Central America, where they'd had Civil War.